Time for another edition of Wellness Wednesday with Okoboji Wellness Clinic's Dr. Bradley Meyer. Good morning, Dr. Meyer.
Good morning, Dave.
Well, I'll tell you what, this weather's been somewhat amazing. Record high a couple of days ago, record high yesterday. And it's funny you brought up the topic before we went on air about gardening. I just had this conversation with my eldest daughter last night that this might be a good year to take up some gardening.
Huge. I thought it was timely because everything seems like it's moved up a little bit this year, so we'll take the good weather. It's beautiful out, and you know, the garden as it applies to the body, and specifically, Dave, we've touched on the microbiome in the past, and that is what exists in our digestive tract, and I think what a lot of times gets missed. This is kind of the garden that's growing inside of us, with a lot of friendly inhabitants, microbiomes, and if this garden gets too many weeds in it, then we start to struggle. And it is, as we're learning, that it has such a big impact, that microbiome diversity. So we want a garden that's got a lot of different types of plants in it, and that means a lot of different types of friendly inhabitants in it. And so I'm going to tie this back around to somebody that has been in with us recently, and we've been working with him for the last 6 weeks, and we've been working on that digestion. He came in inflamed, anxious, rashes, and fatigue. So we kind of work on that digestive tract to get started, and he didn't have enough diversity in that garden, and he had too many inhabitants that we consider like weeds that were taking over the garden. And what we're finding out is that, and this has really been over the last 15 to 20 years, there's been this explosion on learning about the microbiome, the genetics of these, the diversity of these bugs and friendly inhabitants in the gut, in the digestive tract, and how critical that is to our balance and health. So every organ system that we're dealing with, we're talking about, let's say, our lungs or our heart, has a corresponding balance or vibrance, or it's functioning really well, or it's not, based in many times on that microbiome diversity. How many different types of plants and how healthy are they in the garden, in the digestive tract? And so what we found over time, though, is that, especially in the Western cultures, that microbiome diversity has decreased. And you would compare it to the Congo, there's 14% more diversity, more different types of essentially friendlies or diversity in that gut than, let's say, somebody in America. And what we're seeing with those folks is they're not developing these allergies, these autoimmune conditions. And so some of these friendlies, this diversity in the gut, has a protective mechanism, and it helps all of our organ systems. So if we have a part of the body that's just not functioning quite well enough, we're doing things that are helping inflammation along the way, but we really need to, and that's like a hyperbaric treatment, but we got to really look at that digestion and how do we restore that diversity in the gut. And it's kind of a crazy thing. You can do it and start to turn it around in a matter of 3 days or less to get going in that right direction. But that diversity is passed on, some of it, from mothers. Mothers, they're no longer giving their babies the micro organisms that they used to, and what is the reason for that? It's our diets. So it's a lot of it. It's rancid oils, cooking oils. It could be genetically modified food. We've kind of started to eat frankenfood, and then on top of it, you throw in some antibiotics that are really good at killing and getting rid of the bad bacteria. Unfortunately, it's getting rid of the good bacteria in that microbiome as well. And so it's taking out the bad and the good. And then more and more you do that, the more compromised our body gets. And so for this gentleman's case, we've been working with him for about 6 weeks here, and he came in yesterday. It was dramatic. He was more. These were his words. I'm more calm. That rash is gone. The pins and needles that I was feeling at periodic times throughout my body and my skin, that is gone. And so just another great story of how the body can restore itself when we give it some help. So, it's this garden idea. You think of the food as the fertilizer. We want to fertilize that garden with good food, and we want to give it the proper nutrients so that garden and that soil can be rich, and then that extends out to the whole diversity throughout the entire body. So we work through phases as when folks come into the clinic here to try to get the body back into balance, better quality of life. And again, a lot of times, Dave, we hearken back to the beginning, and that's that digestive tract, that digestive system after we eat goes down into the stomach and our small intestines. That is a critical piece to balancing the rest of the body.
Well, as you know, since the onset of COVID, I have spent a great deal of time keeping tabs on the medical community, various doctors, seeing what people are saying about things. And it's interesting how horrible COVID was, and yet it might have been a shock for people to wake up to the medical community and to find out some things. You talk about this often, about peeling back the layers of the onion. Ran across a doctor yesterday talking about how to reduce blood pressure. And one of the things he says in there, he says high blood pressure is the outcome of something, or high blood pressure is harming the body, meaning that the high blood pressure medication was required to help here, but he's talking about peeling back the layers of the onion because the high blood pressure is the outcome of something, so you got to get to what the something was.
Right. Yeah. It's, again, as I was trained in the conventional system, it's a pill for an ill, and that's the end product of a lot of some things in the body that are not doing well, or they're not imbalancing, they're not functioning correctly, that lead to that elevated blood pressure. And so, yeah, I mean, in some cases we need to be on that high blood pressure pill if we're at a dangerous level. But in the process, it would be really nice once we get that blood pressure out of that dangerous level, if it's high, if with a prescription, can we figure out what was leading it to be high? Mm-hmm. And then hopefully over time you're able to titrate down to a lower dose of that medication, and many times you can get off of it when you figure out the why and you're giving the body what it's missing, what it's crying for. The body has this innate ability to want to take care of itself, heal itself, but you have to give it the proper tools, the proper ingredients, the proper environment to be able to do that. And we often talk about hyperbarics. Hyperbarics is an incredible tool that helps the body recover so much faster. So when we're working with folks here, a lot of times we'll work on some different herbals or supplements, nutraceuticals to help the body get back in balance and find what is triggering the body to get out of balance. And then we throw in the hyperbarics or some other modality here at the clinic, and it's a game changer because we move faster in the process. We typically tend to see results so much faster. But yes, it's an exciting time in the world of wellness and health, and I think so many folks are starting to look at it and saying, yeah, I'm on all these pills, but I really don't feel any better. It may be a stopgap to prevent an immediate crisis if my blood pressure is through the roof, that kind of thing. But in the end, it's one pill, then another pill, then another pill, and it's, there's the time's typically not taken to figure out how how do I reverse this? How do I get off of this? And there is a way for a lot of folks to but you have to have the mindset with it, and that's critical. So it's a duality that, we got God involved, we've got the guest involved that comes here, and our team involved. There's three of us, and we are having it. If I'm just doing my recommendations, on my end, which is fine, but you have to have the buy-in and be doing the work as well with us, and then we're even seeing greater results.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what we've learned about gut health, inflammation, it's amazing. And processed foods, just how destructive some of our food intake is. Absolutely incredible. We want folks to at least visit with you and learn how to live, not just survive. How do they do that?
Give us a call at 712-339-6024. We are at 3305 Berquist Avenue off of Highway 71 in Spirit Lake. And you can give us a call if you're really wondering, how do I even get started in this process? It can be a little confusing because it's not something I'm used to when in the traditional system. So we've implemented the discovery calls, and I will sit down or have it's a phone call for about 15 minutes, and I can walk you through. You can give me a little bit of a take on what your goals are and what the struggles have been that are keeping you from being your best, and then I can talk to you about what that may look like as far as working through those things through the approaches that we apply in the clinic. So if you want to give us a call for that, or you can just call and schedule an appointment, or call to join our direct primary care, which is a monthly membership. So there's a lot of different approaches and ways that we can meet you where you're at here to get you going on this wellness journey. If you just want to pop in and say, I want to check that place out, and walk through it, and we'll have one of the team members just walk you through so you can lay eyes on it.
Very good. Dr. Meyer, always a pleasure. Enjoy the beautiful day. We'll chat soon.
Sounds great, Dave. Take care, everybody. Be well.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Bradley Meyer, the Okoboji Wellness Clinic. You can find out more at okobojiwellnessclinic.com.